And also, when you were a young bachelor in the embassy, it must have been paradise there, wasn't it?
It's a fact of life that I wasn't aware of prior to this, but in a large international capital like Jakarta, in Indonesia, the fourth most populous country in the world, there are many embassies, and there are many absolutely wonderful single women in these embassies, and we had more fun than you can imagine. There's a revolution going on outdoors, but I mean, we all got to know each other well. Whether Australians, Brits, French, Germans, Italians, lots of Dutch in Indonesia, because for 300 years, of course, it was the Dutch East Indies. Yeah, I highly recommend to a bachelor, if you get assigned to an embassy, take the assignment. I think you'll like it.
So the ratio of men to women was pretty good too.
In that particular coterie of people, yeah, embassy folks, yes.
Okay, so you're in the Senate, it's the late 90s, you're coming up to 2000, you got a presidential election coming up, Bill Clinton's second term is ending, you've got George W. Bush running, you've got John McCain running, you've got several other people running. Tell us what happened in 2000 in that presidential year. You're in the middle of your fourth and final term in the Senate because you're going to be term limited 2 years later in 2002. Anything in particular happened this year that sticks out to you?
Yeah, I chaired the McCain campaign in Michigan, which, by the way, we won.
Right.
And I did something I very rarely did, but I took the opposite side from Governor Engler, and he understood that. I mean, I think he likes people who are honestly independent politically, and that was not a problem with him. He worked as hard as he possibly could for George W. Bush. I worked as hard as I possibly could for John McCain.
Well, did you know John McCain?
I had met John McCain on one or two occasions, and I think, without breaking into classified information, one of the assignments, one of the groups that I was assigned to in my CIA tour in Vietnam was to ferret out, if we possibly could, where American POWs were held. And in McCain's case, we knew where he was, but there were a whole bunch of others we were trying to find out. And when McCain first came to Michigan, he and I had a conversation about that. And very shortly thereafter, I said, you know, Senator, I'm gonna support you. I just feel like I have to do it. We're Vietnam veterans, and I have the utmost respect for you. And not only your legislative record, but your record as a naval officer.
So did you talk to Governor Engler about doing that beforehand, or what?
Yes, I did. I said, I'm going to come
John McCain have anybody on his side in Michigan before you stepped forward?
I'm sure he had some people on his side, but they weren't real public. So I went public, and when I went public, I think other people felt it was okay. They could go public about it. And, you know, Engler was working as hard as he could for George W. Bush, and working as hard as he could then against McCain. And I can remember McCain saying, be sure you have, when you go out to go out in the morning, when you come to Lansing and everything, be sure you have somebody go out and start your car for you. Anyhow, that was great fun in that primary, traveling all over the state with McCain. And he knew that I had been in Vietnam because he'd heard me talk about it, some of the things we'd done, but he wanted to check my bona fides, that's good. So I talked about being in Laos, and he said, well, do you remember that saloon that everybody used to talk about in Vientiane where the dancers did this and that and the other thing? And I said, yeah, this was the name of the saloon. He said, that's good, thank you, you got it right.
He knew that you were genuine at that point. You were the real deal.
That's how I established my bona fides.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the way it's done.
So in any event, it was great fun. Yeah. And we won the primary, and then I was able to, along with Governor Engler along with Governor Engler, to be the co-chair of the Michigan delegation to the convention.
Right.
Spence Abraham was a co-chair too. They were actually tri-chairs.
Right.
And be able to name a lot of the delegates that were given to the candidate who won the primary. So that was a lot of fun. Enjoyed it. The convention was very well done. John McCain was, as ever, gracious in accepting the fact that he wasn't going to be the nominee, and very, very publicly supporting George W. Bush, which is typical John McCain, class person from top to bottom.
Right. Now, you come to 2002, you saw it coming, you knew you were going to be term limited for the first time in history for the state Senate. Anybody who had been elected, in 1992 was when the referendum passed.
Yeah, 31 out of 38 were term limited.
Right, exactly. So you knew it was coming. Now, what did you decide to do at that time? As I remember, there was still another campaign.
Yeah, I ran for governor.
Okay.
On the Republican ticket, ran against Dick Posthumus, who was the majority leader of the Senate at the time, and a very good friend, remains a very good friend.
Well, he was lieutenant governor.
He was lieutenant governor.
Time.
That's he was lieutenant
he had
governor.
Been majority.
That had been. That's by. But now he's lieutenant governor. That's right.
And he only had one term seniority on you in the Senate, right? When you came in '86, wasn't he elected?
That is
in
true.
82?
He had one term seniority.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what was your feeling that he just wasn't good enough to be the Republican?
No, not at all. I think he represented the more conservative wing of the party.
Yeah.
And I think I represented the center-right wing of the party. I think that in a primary, I was naive enough to think that first there would be a high voter turnout in a gubernatorial primary in a year when there was no incumbent governor running.
Right.
And
you were hoping maybe a lot of independents would turn out who would be more moderate.
Yes, I hope people would turn out. But
yeah.
the thing is, it's foolish to think that anybody's going to turn out in a primary election. I mean, the very best we've ever done is somewhere around 22 or 23%.
Right.
And usually it's below 20%.
Yeah.
So, I was hoping against hope that would happen. It did not. Dick won the primary and was the candidate for governor against Jennifer Granholm.
When you say he was farther to the right of you and you were kind of center right, how do you define yourself ideologically as center right as a Republican serving in the Senate and running for governor in 2002? What, in your mind, or what do you think other people think, makes you, let's say, a little more moderate as a Republican than a lot of the rest of the Republican Party is today?
First, I can work with the other guys because most, good, hard-working Democrats are center-left, and there's common ground there. But there are some issues. I'm pro-choice. I'm not pro-abortion. Immediately say you're pro-choice. Say you're pro-abortion. I'm not pro-abortion.
Well, let me ask you this: back in 1986, was that even an issue when you ran?
To a degree.
I mean, did you have to take a litmus test?
No.
Were you endorsed by Right to Life in 1986 when you ran?
Yeah, I may have been. I'm not sure, but I
Well,
was the
that's kind of amazing,
Republican
isn't it?
candidate. But my position has always been the same.
Okay.
That I am pro-choice in that I believe a woman has a choice.
Okay.
But I am not pro-abortion.
Right.
And I've had many, many opportunities in many, many years of practicing medicine to advise women who are pregnant and don't want to be pregnant. What do you do? And my advice to an individual, all of them, has been carry the pregnancy to term.
Okay.
Unless there is a reason, a health reason that you can't. And there are some of those, but not many.
Right.
But it always is carry the pregnancy to term. But I believe a woman has a choice. And that is where the farther right members of the Republican Party and I have had our problems over the years and continue to.
What about other issues? What about LBGT issues today, which wasn't even a factor when you first got it? Yeah.
I have no problem with gay marriage. If a gay couple wants to get married and it's legal in that state, then they have every right to get married.
But back in the 80s or the 70s,
that
when you were
never
first,
came up.
Well, I know it didn't, but if it had, what would your
I'd have
reaction
felt the same
have been?
way.
You would have?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd have felt the same
Very
way.
interesting. What are some other
you
issues?
shouldn't get bogged. One of the problems today, Bill, is we get bogged down on these issues, which don't have anything to do with the economy, with jobs, with national security,
Right.
with the upkeep of our infrastructure, with education, the things that a legislator or a member of Congress should be truly concerned about. We get bogged down on these issues, which are really marginal issues, and people have strong feelings about them, and they have every right to have strong feelings about them, but they shouldn't be center stage.